This video is all about some of the actions you can take to support native bird life. In particular, we're going to look at how you can create some good habitat for birds by planting the right kind of plants. This is Dr. Holly, our bird expert. Holly, remind us about the different layers that plants grow in and why these are important for birds.
So Jane, plants grow in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So here we've got some grasses and ground covers, some small spiky shrubs. Behind us we've got some small shrubs, tall shrubs and even trees. Those different places are going to be providing different shelter sites and food that birds are going to use. So on your school grounds you want to think about putting as many of those layers in as possible to make sure we get lots of different birds.
It looks like Holly's set up a few different things here to show us. What have we got here, Holly?
Well Jane, we know that different birds like different types of plants. So I've got some examples of some locally native to Sydney plants that are fantastic for helping our Australian native birds. For example, we've got a little double-barred finch here, little seed-eating bird, great beak, great for cracking seed. He loves native grasses, so some of these tube stock here, like this kangaroo grass, are going to be his favourites.
Okay, and when you say tube stock, what do you mean by that?
Well, I literally mean plants that are in a tube. So these are very young plants that you'll get from a locally native nursery, and they're in a tiny little tube. You put them in the ground as is, and we'll show you how to do that soon, and they grow really, really well.
Right, and what other plants do we have here?
We've got other different types of plants that are going to be providing different food. So we know, for example, that noisy miners and rainbow lorikeets are doing fantastically. They love lots of big nectar-producing plants. We don't really want to help them. We want to help the small honey eaters. So instead, go for something like this little locally native grevillea with a tiny little flower, or maybe some of the banksias. For insect-eating birds like your superb fairy wrens, maybe something like your tickbush or your bacon and eggplant. And for fruit eaters like the silver eyes, they love lily pillies, and we can eat those little berries as well. Well, now's the fun stuff, actually putting the plants in the ground. So we're going to take one of the tube stock from earlier, and I'm going to show you how to plant one. Firstly, you're going to dig a hole, and we've done one already. Make sure it's as deep as what you're going to plant and about twice as wide. The next thing to do is to just put a little bit of water in, so everything's nice and damp, and let it soak in. You can also try putting some water crystals into the bottom as well. That'll help keep the roots nice and wet while the plant grows. Once your hole's ready, you need to take the tube stock out of the pot, and to do that you're going to use your two fingers, index finger and middle finger, around the base of the plant. Turn it upside down, give it a little bit of a tap, and it should hopefully come out pretty easy. If it doesn't, don't rip the pot because you'll damage the roots, and you've got to be really careful of them. So then you're just going to pop the plant in the ground and then just backfill. So just take the dirt that you've pulled out already and work it around the hole. You can use a trowel if you like, until everything's nice and covered and your tube stock is completely in the ground. Push down around it so you make sure you've got no air pockets in there as well, and make a little bit of a well, so a little bit of a dip just around the tube stock, so it means all the water gets directed into the roots. Then you need to water it really well. So get your water can, give it a really good soak, let all the water soak in, and then you can put some mulch down. So we've got some mulch here, and we're just going to put it around the plant, not right up to the base of the plant itself, but just leave a little bit of a gap. Mulch around, and then if you need to, you can use something like this as a plant protector, and that just goes over the top and gets pushed down to keep the plant as it grows nice and protected. Now make sure that you're watering your plant really regularly, especially as it's young. So every couple of days, 2 to 3 days, give it a really good water. And the other thing you can do is to prune it as it grows. And this is the Kunzia, and it really likes getting a tip prune. So that's just taking out the new growth, and it makes sure that the plant then grows nice and wide and it becomes nice and dense, which means that the little birds are going to love it.
Well, now you know a bit more about creating bird habitat. I hope you're feeling inspired to go out and start planting. Good luck, the birds will love you for it.